I installed a hidden camera in the house and caught my girlfriend cheating. My girlfriend, 20, has been living with me, 21M, and my family for the past 2 years, been together for almost 4. She got into a huge fight with her dad and decided to move out. My mom, being the kind person she's always been, offered to let her live with us. I agreed, of course. I loved her. Love. Now, I've always been somewhat of a jealous type in a relationship, but not the crazy kind. The title suggests otherwise, I know, but it was the only way to the truth. My suspicions first arose about a year ago when I was playing this board game Codenames with my sister, 24, her boyfriend, 24, and the cheating, let's call her Stacy. Stacy and my sister's boyfriend were on a team together, and right away I didn't like the energy they were giving off. She was laughing at all his jokes, he was teasing her about some, it all just looked flirtatious to me, and I wasn't having any of that. That night, I talked to her about it, and she told me that it was nothing. Of course. During this time, I was going to school and had a job working as a so I was out of the house most of the time. Some days I wouldn't get home until midnight. My parents worked 8-4 jobs, as well as my sister. My girlfriend only worked weekends, and she took her schooling online. My sister's boyfriend is in construction, but his schedule is 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. Most of the day, Stacy and my sister's boyfriend were home alone together. My suspicions only grew ever since that board game night. Every time they were in a room together, Stacy would barely look at him anymore. They'd make small talk here and there. I could tell the dynamic of their relationship changed. I confronted Stacy again, asking why all of a sudden she was acting so awkward around him, and she said, it's because she doesn't want to upset me. At this point, I felt bad for making her feel guilty. I said I'd never bring it up again, and I kept my word. Until 6 days ago. I was lying down on the couch upstairs in the living room. Stacy was in the kitchen, which was half visible from where I was, making a smoothie. My sister's boyfriend comes downstairs and starts making lunch for himself. I couldn't see what they were doing, but I pretended not to care, holding my phone to my face. I could barely see their figures in the back door's glass reflection. They were shifting around each other, trying to do their own thing, when all of a sudden he slaps her. In that moment, I felt frozen. Every part of me flared up. After my sister's boyfriend went back upstairs, I got up from the couch, went to the front door, and put my shoes on. Stacy comes toward me and says, "Where are you going?" And I just responded, "Really?" I saw what just happened. Then I left and slammed the door behind me. She chased after me, getting all angry, trying to act as if nothing even happened. I told her what I saw, which just made her even more mad. A reflection. So you're saying you didn't even see it then? You thought you saw it, you wanted to see it just to justify your thoughts. At this point, she's threatening to break up with me, saying she's going to move out and live on her own, making me feel guilty by saying she's broke, that she'll have to drop out of school and work full-time at a job. As much as I wanted to just end all of it and let her go at this point, I apologized. I apologized for everything, begged her to stay, and promised to never, ever bring it up again. It took a lot of convincing, but eventually she decided to stay and we walked back to the house. But I knew what I saw. I just needed hard evidence. That same night, I ordered a tiny black hidden camera from Amazon. When it arrived, I set it up in the living room next to the kitchen, just at the corner of one of the curtains. The next morning, 2 days ago, when everyone was still asleep, I discreetly took out the chip, put it in the USB, and quickly went through the footage. On my laptop. Nothing. I cleared up the space and put the chip back in the camera. And then yesterday, I finally got what I wanted. I woke up before everyone else again and viewed the chip. Approximately at 3:15 a.m., I saw my sister's boyfriend slowly walk downstairs and sit on the couch. A few minutes later, Stacy walks upstairs from our room. She carefully walks over to him, sits on his lap, and I couldn't bear to watch anymore. I was in complete disbelief. The girl who I spent 4 years with, the girl I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with, cheating on me with my sister's boyfriend. All this time, lying to my face, making me feel guilty. I went back downstairs, woke up Stacy, placed the laptop in front of her, and played the video. As soon as she realized what was happening, she instantly closed and froze. Nothing was said for what felt like an eternity. She started sobbing, trying to utter words until I finally spoke up. "You're the most conniving, disgusting sociopath I've ever met. Start packing you right now, or I'm sending this to everyone you know." Word on what followed was a very long, pathetic, sorry excuse for an apology that I don't even want to get into. Eventually, she called her dad. He came by and picked her, so I guess she's going to live with her family again. A lot of her things are still here, and she doesn't have any friends to deliver it to her, so I have no idea what to do with all the as for my sister and her boyfriend. He's also been kicked out of the house and now has his own place somewhere. Who knows, maybe Stacy might even move in with him. I don't care. Story 2. Wife is pregnant, baby might not be mine. Not quite sure why I'm doing this. I've been drinking quite heavily for most of today, so if I stop making sense you all understand why. I'm 40M and my wife is 38. She was always adamant that we wouldn't have children. I wanted them but loved her more than the idea of becoming a father. We met when I was 20 and she was 18 and were married by the time I was 22. She came from a very privileged background and her parents did not approve of me. They are of the opinion that she married below her social station. A few months ago, she visited her parents and her father bought her a new car. Her parents have serious money, and I trusted her so it wasn't something that I questioned. Plus, she's always received gifts from her father over the years. Why would this one be any different? A couple of weeks ago, she told me that she was pregnant and I was ecstatic. Happier than I've ever been. But it didn't last long. I got a call from a friend and he told me that he'd seen her with her brother-in-law, sister's husband, while she was visiting her parents. She hadn't told me that she'd seen him. They've always had a weird dynamic that's made me uncomfortable, but I consoled myself with the view that she had chosen me. She could have been with him, but she had chosen me. My friend sent me some pictures and it changed things. The images showed a couple that were very close. The image showed them gazing and holding each other. The intimate gestures of ones familiar with each other. Her gazing at home with a look that I had hoped was reserved for myself. His hands in her hair as he kissed her. Turns out it's more than likely he bought her the car. I confronted her about it, asked her what happened, but she lied. Told me she hadn't seen him. Told me that I should know the score between them, that she has to be civil. Very civil. I showed her the pictures and told her to leave. That was a week ago. Then I did the math in my head and realized the dates line up. There is a very real chance he might be the baby's father. Today I asked her for a DNA test, but she exploded at that. The thought of subjecting her baby to a test. But without one, I'll never accept this child as mine. This whole ordeal has made me reconsider my marriage. Not only that, but how honest she has been throughout it. How many of the gifts that she's received over the years have actually been from her father. Has she just spread her legs for any man that's bought her something nice? Have I quite literally married? I've sent her sister the pictures. Not for any noble reason of thinking that she should know. I want to hurt my wife and brother-in-law, and that's the best way I know at the moment. On Monday, I think I'm going to talk to a lawyer and set the divorce proceedings in motion. Thank you for reading, and I'm sorry if this is a mess. My state isn't great, and I've had a lot to drink. Thanks for the support. Those that don't believe me, that's your prerogative. This is the internet, and I understand your skepticism. I need her permission for a DNA test, and she's made it clear that she won't give it. The next step is I get a divorce and lose half my stuff. Infidelity doesn't matter as much to the UK courts. Dyslexia and a high blood alcohol level are responsible for any spelling and grammatical mistakes. Update. I have not spoke to my wife in close to 10 days. She has sent me some messages and left voicemails, but I haven't responded to any of them. I made my position clear with her. When she agrees to a DNA test, I'll talk to her, not before. I spent Christmas with a close friend, and he gave me some advice about what to do with my future. I used to row and box in my early 20s, and I plan to start doing that again. I'm also giving up alcohol for the foreseeable future. It doesn't do my state any good. I have an appointment with a lawyer and a therapist next week. I plan to get myself sorted emotionally and legally so that I don't get to in the coming months. Whether or not I get divorced in the end, I need to know my options and the consequences. I've spoken to my SIL on a few occasions, and she's going down a similar route to me and filing for divorce in the new year. Her and my BAL have a young daughter, so life's going to get quite complicated for them. If the baby turns out to be his, then they can have one really up family. I'm jumping from wanting the baby to not. If it's mine, then I get to be a dad, but my life gets serious complicated. If it's someone else's, then I can be done with all of them and have a fresh start, but the thought that she'd have another man's child is profoundly depressing. If it's not my child, then I think I'll move somewhere else. Maybe apply for a work visa in America, transfer to one of the European branches of the company or spend a few years living as a nomad traveling around the world. Haven't thought that far ahead yet, but I doubt I'll stay in the UK. If it is mine, then things will be much more complicated. I haven't told her about my plans for the future because at its current standpoint she's not in them. That might change, but at its current standpoint that's unlikely. As updates go, this one is probably disappointing, but it is what it is. If she agrees to a DNA test, then I'll provide another update, but at this point that seems quite unlikely.